on various European matters. But most of all, I'd like to thank Briony Kapoor, who's the creative director of the IMOS Foundation, which is an arts charity, simply for putting this exhibition on, because I met Briony only just over a year ago, and I saw this exhibition for the first time in, I think, September in Folkestone, when it first appeared as part of the triennial. And it's, well, as soon as I saw it, I said, it has to come to Lancaster. So that's how it appeared. So, over to you, Briony. Thank you.
Hello to everyone, and thank you for coming along to support the exhibition. David's just introduced me, so I won't introduce myself. But the IMOS Foundation, which funded this exhibition with the help of various sponsors, is a small charity devoted to the arts on the south coast. We are delighted to have had the chance to come to Lancaster with the support of the Arts Council, the University and the Story Institute. And very impressed indeed with this wonderful building. Obviously I have to thank David for making it all happen. I'm sure it would not have if he hadn't been so very helpful and so very competent. So to get to the exhibition, you have before you the whole of Europe in the early 21st century. These ordinary Europeans, as seen by British artists, are in effect an historical document. I think you will agree they look like the sort of people you might like to know, that you might like to go out and have a drink and a talk. They're people who are comfortable in themselves, confident, independent, and people who feel safe in expressing their individuality. The freedom to be like this has been hard won for Europe over the centuries, and like most of you, I value the possession of this gift. I might even value it more than some because I spent many years living outside Europe and visiting countries where such things cannot be taken for granted. I don't intend to speak for long, but I would like to tell you how the exhibition came about. Valuing Europe as I do is because I have lived in places where democracy and the rule of law don't really work very well. I also noticed when I returned from those countries to Britain, and I was shocked by this, I noticed that many people here complain about their lives, they complain about Europe, and really about almost anything, apparently without realizing how very fortunate they are to be European. I was particularly upset with the divisive tone of the recent election, particularly along the south coast where the IMOS Foundation is based. So far from quarrelling with our compatriots in Europe, I would prefer a friendly approach. There are only 500 million Europeans who are guardians of a very precious civilization. Compare this to over 1 billion Chinese and over 1 billion Indians, and another 3 or 4 billion people on other continents. It seems to be essential that we act as one on the world stage to present the case for moderation, humanity, justice, equality of opportunity and decency, rather than squabbling amongst ourselves. I wondered how this desire could be expressed, what with my complete lack of any political or administrative power, and restricted to the circumstances that I had, that is a small arts foundation. I realized one day that the point could be made in a direct and simple way by going out with amicable intentions and expressing our warmth towards others in Europe in person. Accordingly, I asked artists to travel for the IMOS Foundation to each of the 28 countries of the European Union to make friends with the European and then to paint their portrait. Some guidelines were given only insofar as we wanted to end up with 14 women and 14 men, as well as having subjects with a range of ages. The exhibition opened at the Folkestone Triennial last summer and is now travelling around the UK. We have been invited to several capitals in Europe so far, but are restricted by financial considerations. And in that connection, if anyone here can assist with a venue or with sponsorship, that is me and my trustees, would be delighted to hear from you. So now I come to another point that I would like to make this evening. The project would not have been realised without the generous and idealistic cooperation of the artists involved and the strangers who agreed to be the subjects of the paintings. These strangers, now friends, whatever their personal condition, exceeded themselves and exceeded their nation as representatives of Europe. They certainly made this wonderful exhibition possible with their willingness to act on an ideal that we all shared and that we hoped to convey. The last time that anyone attempted to do something similar was in 1493, when a merchant from Germany sent artists out with his traders, and they recorded Europeans in the cities that they visited 500 years ago. They created paintings and woodcuts, and these are collected in a document called the Nuremberg Chronicle. One copy of this is to be found in Corpus Christi College, Cambridge. But to return to the gifted British artists whose work is displayed here, in choosing them, we were not concerned with their age, their sex, or their degree of fame. Only that we respected their talent, we admired their work, and they appreciated what we were trying to do. I think you'll agree that, whether famous or yet to have their talent recognised, they've produced fine works of art and succeeded in showing us Europeans with whom we can identify and through whom we can further our sense of developing European identity. And I'm delighted to add to this that somebody from Europe has come up from London. It's Jaqueline Minor. She's the EU representative to the UK from the European Union, and she has agreed to open the exhibition.
Well, thank you very much, Briony. It's a real privilege and a delight, actually, to be here. I spend far too much time in London, in Westminster, and any opportunity to get beyond the boundaries of that bubble is a welcome one. But it's particularly welcome to come to this part of the world, which I know only very slightly. And it's delightful to see this exhibition for a third time. I was present when it opened in Folkestone. Recently, it has been on display in Europe House in the centre of London, Smith Square. And now to see it here in these magnificent surroundings is wonderful. And every time I see it, I am struck by how arresting the portraits are, how they engage in a thoughtful dialogue. Who are these people? Where do they come from? What is their background? And I think Briony, her foundation, and the people here who collaborated with her, David and others, are to be congratulated on their imagination, their drive and their enthusiasm, which has created this exhibition and has brought it to Lancaster. Now, I swear that Briony and I have not discussed in advance what we were going to say. I jotted down a few notes on the train, and they very much echo what Briony has just said, so I hope you won't find me too repetitive. We all know that we are facing, in the next 18 months to 2 years, a referendum on continued British membership of the European Union. And I suspect that by the date still to be fixed of that referendum, we will all have grown tired of the debate, which will mainly be focused on issues of economics, jobs, GDP, foreign direct investment, trade with the European Union, trade with the rest of the world, and political issues such as sovereignty, control over our borders, our relations with other member states. But I think it's important, in the background to that debate, to remember that there's also a cultural context. It's not all about politics and economics. There's something that also is incredibly resonant, and that is our shared heritage, our shared European identity. European citizenship does not detract from one's local, regional, national identity. Whether you're a Londoner or a Parisian, a Lancastrian or a Bavarian, British or Italian, you're still European. And I think one of the things that this exhibition demonstrates is that Europeans are incredibly diverse, but also incredibly difficult to pin down. I don't know how many of you have completed the quiz, but I wager that nobody felt confident in being able to assign a nationality to the face. We are, after all human beings. But as Briony has already said, in Europe we do share, as part of our heritage, part of our culture, part of our history, certain shared values which are important. Our values of democracy, the rule of law, protection of minorities, compassion for the less fortunate. And these are values which we ought to defend in an uncertain and rapidly changing world. And the European Commission, although it won't participate in the referendum campaign, clearly feels that membership of the European Union has been of benefit to the United Kingdom, and the UK's membership has been of benefit to the European Union. And one of the things that the European Union seeks to do is not only promote the prosperity and the stability of our own continent, but also to project its values, those values of democracy and respect for the rule of law, to the rest of the world. And I think this exhibition demonstrates in a very approachable but also engaging way exactly those values. So it's, as I said, it's an honour, it's a delight to be here, and I hope you all enjoy the exhibition tonight, and I hope you'll tell a lot of other people how wonderful it is and that they should come in the next few weeks. Thank you very much.